checking levels, level check. Mark?
Checking levels.
Yeah, looking good.
Beautiful.
That's definitely right. You got the channel set up. I'm not sure if you've got the channel.
I've named the channels wrong.
You've named the channels
We
wrong.
established that before Mark got in, but I didn't have time to rename them to what they actually were.
Right.
Welcome to the second episode of Dads at Work, where work meets fatherhood and the rhythm of life plays out in every role we take on. Today's guest knows a thing or two about building a career that crescendos. From comms officer to marketing executive to manager to regional marketing manager. It's not an episode of This Is Your Life if it feels like that. And finally, head of marketing, Marc Rhodes, climbed the corporate scale note by note. But it was when he stepped into the spotlight as the founder of Marc Rhodes Consulting that the tempo really changed. Grab your headphones, this one's got a rhythm worth following. Let's drop the needle on the story of Marc Rhodes. In today's episode, we'll rewind through Marc's chart-topping hits from the early days at Lincoln Minster School, through standout gigs with And Beyond, the Order of St John Care Trust, and Active Lincolnshire. Here we go. We're going to jump straight in, Marc. Question numero uno. What was the turning point, Marc? When did you feel the beat shift and you knew that it was ready for you? It was your time to go solo.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Big question. Firstly, thanks for that. Was a great
big
intro.
Big intro
the best,
as well.
The best intro I've ever had. I think that was amazing. So I became self-employed for the first time. I wouldn't say it was by accident, but almost because I had to. So
right.
yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of places I'd worked there before, and it's fair to say the last couple of jobs I had before I became self-employed hadn't necessarily worked out for various reasons.
Sorry for naming those places.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all part of the story. I don't mind talking about it. So yeah, I worked at that care charity for a year. It really wasn't for me in terms of being a commercial person in a care environment, and that trade-off didn't really sit very comfortably with me, and I just found it hard to perform my job to a decent standard. To be fair, it was hard, and I suffered some mental health issues as a result of that. I then found a job working for a local architecture firm in marketing. That again, after a short period of time, it didn't work out, and they let me go, which is fine. And so I thought the quickest way to get back on my feet and get something going was to become self-employed.
Yeah.
So I'd had the business, and I use business very loosely there. I'd been helping some friends with their marketing for a year and a half or so before that.
It often starts that way.
Yeah.
It does. The freelancer, wearing many hats.
Yeah, and then I was very fortunate to get a consultancy contract at Visit Lincoln. So I started doing like business development, marketing, partnerships for Visit Lincoln. That was in August 2019. That lasted until COVID hit, and rightly so. They were cutting their cloth accordingly at the time, and that contract came to an end. I managed to keep the business going for about 6 months, and then in October 2020, I was like, I probably should get another job now, because I have no idea when this is going to end and how I'm going to navigate making money if I don't take a job. So I got a job at an e-commerce agency then. I did that for 18 months, developed a real passion for e-commerce, direct-to-consumer e-commerce specifically. And
Is this And Beyond?
That's when I was at And Beyond,
right,
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So that was a small agency when I joined. I think I was the fourth member of the team. We grew it to... We used the boom in direct-to-consumer e-commerce and subscriptions, particularly in the food and beverage sector around that time, to grow the team to, I think, 11 by the time I left.
Wow.
Trebled the turnover. Great place to work, but I always had the ambition to go back to what I had been doing before COVID, which was having my own business. And so, I made the leap back in July 2022, so it'll be 3 years next month that I've been back doing this, and... I just love it. It's great. It's amazing. It's
happy anniversary in advance.
Yeah, thank you very much
for that. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, as someone I'm in marketing myself, currently a marketing manager. and I've been previously made redundant from an agency as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, Mark, there's something quite admirable about people that think, right, I'm going to go this alone. Like, what? So you obviously started it in 2022, July 2022.
Yeah, full time for the first time properly in 2022.
So what was going on then that you thought, right, full time, I'm going to do it now?
Yeah, it had always been on my mind to go back and do it at some point. So I moved into a co-working space in February 2022 while still working at the agency. But that kind of gave me the ability to like reconnect with a lot of people I'd not seen since before COVID and just kind of like rebuild the network a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll come on to this probably in more detail, but my daughter arrived in September 2021, and then the idea to have a bit more flexibility around that. My previous employers were great, to be fair with that, but to be able to just take a bit more control around that. And then the agency.
That's really interesting. Sorry to jump in there, but for me, because I had was he one when I got made redundant? I can't remember. I think he was one, and for me, it was, I need a full-time job. I need the stability. I need guaranteed holiday. I need, pay every month in the bank.
Yeah.
But you've sort of alluded to something a little bit different there. You wanted that flexibility and pursued it in that way.
Yeah, so I was fortunate that the agency I was working for at the time were looking to be acquired by an agency I now partner with. And
Always helps.
I was offered the opportunity to, when that acquisition fell through, I was offered the opportunity to work for that agency that was going to acquire.
Wow, okay.
And we've been working together ever since. 3 years. We've been working together in August. So that is that's been one of my biggest contracts for the last 3 years, basically. And we do amazing work together. It's fantastic. So I had a certain level of security, although it's a rolling contract, so it's not like totally secure.
Yeah,
but I knew we'd do a good job together. We'd known each other for probably about 6 months before, and we do complementary work, and it's worked brilliantly for 3 years. So that gave me like the ability to know, well, I can survive even if I only do this.
It's not a runway. It's because this is what you often hear with people starting businesses. It's like, right, months, years maybe in prep. I'm gonna, I need to set up a runway of like capital almost to see me through the X amount of months to get things going. But actually, that's such a great way, a refreshing way of looking at it. Right, I've got this in. I've got this partnership.
Yeah.
I've worked with them before. They meet X amount of needs. I can pay off my bills with this amount, and then anything above X, Y, Z is going to be like bonus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the
It's
foundation
really
of it. Was like taking that contract with the Shopify agency, which is it's the kind of work that I predominantly do is in e-commerce. It's a foundation then to have the confidence to grow it and be patient with growing it, as opposed to thinking, I need to get more contracts in. But it's naturally I've been very fortunate that I've been busy for the last 3 years pretty much.
Well, you've got your baked in testimonial there, right?
Well, yeah.
This guy's great. You worked together for X amount of months, and we can vouch for him. This is what. Did you get Did you think about getting a testimonial from this company for your website, for your consulting that's
no,
grown
not necessarily.
since?
It was not necessarily required, I don't think, to be fair. It was
The
just
reputation preceded you.
maybe.
In a good way.
Yeah,
in a good way. The very few times that is good.
But like I say, we've been collaborating for 3 years now, and it's great. And then I've grown the e-commerce side of my business more as a result of that, and then the way that the business works now really is like a consultancy practice really, where I've got a number of partners, of which they're one, where we can all refer work to each other. It's sort of like an agency model without necessarily having to employ anybody full time, which is great because you dip in and out of each other's projects when the best people for the job are needed. So it works really nicely.
That's really interesting, that model. I really, really like that.
Does that answer your question about potentially going
At
some point?
One day,
Max?
maybe. Yeah. Maybe. It's always... I think it's a really, really nice thing to be your own boss. Mm-hmm. As well as scary, it's a really, really nice thing.
Yeah, it is. The fear goes... like never totally subsides, but it kind of becomes normal to a degree. So like you're never that far away from... a certain level of uncertainty, because I don't tie people into like year-long contracts and stuff. There's always like opportunities to break and stuff, but generally I've got long-term relationships with clients. So my longest serving client is 7 years from when
Wow.
I first set the business up. Another
Oh,
one for
wow.
4, another one for 3, like I just mentioned. So, but yeah, there is that fear does subside a little bit the longer you go on it, because you just, it just is what you do month to month now. So I don't really, I see this as my job. It is my job, but like, I mean, I don't think, that anxiety is gone from when I first started, and probably when I started the business for the first time in 2018. I didn't really know what I was doing necessarily in terms of operating a business. Like I say, it wasn't.
Right.
You see, that's quite refreshing, because everyone who's ever set up their own business is like, oh yes, it was perfect from the get-go.
I know all the ins and outs of what's going on.
Got it registered on Company's House, did all the trade. So it's nice to hear that you really were navigating it yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
at
until
that time.
2022 when I didn't actually launch my current brand and website and stuff until the January of 2023. So it wasn't really formalised in any real serious way until probably late 2022, early 2023. But now I just see it as it's just what I do now. It's, I can't really see going back to being employed. I may well do it, so I'm not totally opposed to it if it was required. But you just kind of become used to this is what you do. And I think I'm better suited to being self-employed. I think people that know me would say the same based on my track record before I became self-employed. Everything was most of those roles you mentioned earlier on were fantastic and really successful.
Yes,
but,
we don't badmouth anyone.
No.
But it's the flexibility. You can choose. There's a limited amount, I guess, of choosing who you want to work with. I guess you're targeting certain partnerships, but you can work where you want, when you want to work, to a degree.
Yeah.
And as far as I gather from our conversation before, you're also using freelancers within the setup as well. So there's
That's
flexibility within your workforce as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is
So
quite cool.
I don't employ anybody directly, but like I say, it's more like a consultancy practice. So if we need to bring in a designer or a developer, somebody that can run Facebook ads,
They're on tap.
I don't try and do any of those things because I'm not the best person to do it. So it would undermine me to try and run somebody's Facebook ads, for example, because I do a bad job of it and spend their money to learn. So I bring in somebody who is I think the best person to do it, and everyone is a winner, then the client and me and the partner. So
So your daughter's 1 at this point when you're setting
she hadn't even turned 1 when I went back to being
really?
self-employed. Yeah, she was 9 months old.
How did that work with balancing that?
The buzz phrase work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
Yes.
To be honest, I don't know. It's hard because I've got nothing to compare it against. But I don't know if it would have been. It probably would have been harder had I still been employed, right?
Do you think so?
Possibly, yeah.
How so?
Well, just because I have that ultimate flexibility to decide when and where to work.
Yeah.
And we're 9 months in at this point, so I suppose there's I don't know if you're ever, my daughter's 3.5 now. I don't know if you're ever actually, on top of it, as it were.
Are you struggling as much as I am at the moment with my 3.5-year-old, or is it
Well, they're the
just
same
me?
age. Is
Milo, my son, will be 4 in August,
Yeah.
so I still class him as 3.5.
Yeah, so Alden will be
Bless it.
4 in September.
4 in September.
Yeah.
And has your daughter found her voice and opinions?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. She's amazing. Yeah.
They are amazing, but I do think it's the first time that I've sort of looked at him and gone, oh, okay, you're your own person, you've got your own opinions, and you are going to fight back against.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
When they first start to come out.
Yeah, well, I can think of other words, but amazing's one of them. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So going back to that work, I hate the term work-life balance because it's all a continuum at the end of the day, and work has to fit in with family, and vice versa. So obviously your daughter was 9 months when you started up Marc Rhodes. Is this Marc Rhodes Consulting as it is now? Marc Rhodes Marketing.
Yeah.
So how did it work? Because was she at preschool at that point?
No,
was she still at home?
She would have started nursery when she was 1, probably almost immediately after she was 1.
As soon as possible.
I guess so. How did it work? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting through it. So my now ex-wife and I decided that we'd both work 4 days a week. So Alden was in nursery Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then she'd spend a day with her mum and a day with me, which is still the case now. And I think you just find your way through it, you know. And it probably is a bit of a blur, to be honest. And
I imagine it is.
But I have great memories of that time, and you know, the business was like it was still new at that point, and so still figuring things out on the parenthood front as well. So just exciting. I think I just remember it as exciting, really, you know, and just navigating all these new things.
So to me, that sounds like you were almost able to bring your daughter along with you on that journey, because sometimes when you're employed, not that this is applicable to any of my now employers or previous employers, but sometimes you feel that you have to sacrifice family time for work. But with you, Mark, it sounds like it's all that continuum, like we were saying, and you were able to sort of bring your daughter along with you.
The decision to work 4 days a week was somewhat led by availability in nursery originally, actually. But then now it's so baked into both mine and her mum's lifestyle. It's very, you know, and I appreciate it's in a fortunate position to be in, to be able to opt to work 4 days a week. Like that's, but that's what I've been doing now ever since she started nursery. So, you know, 2.5 years now I've been doing that. And it just is not even a consideration now that I just don't work on a Friday. That's just the way it is. Which again, that is a fortunate position to be in. But I'm really committed to that time with Auden, and it's great. And who knows if I'll carry on doing 4 days a week once she starts school. But that time is finite, right? The time I get to spend with her on those days. So it's a very privileged position to be in, to be able to do that. But when she starts school in September 2026, I won't have those Fridays anymore. No. So that'll be gutting. But also I could then opt to work 20% more than I currently do. The decision was probably initially because that's what you had to do to make it work. But then it became this is what I want to do now.
I do want to touch on the subject as a separated dad myself. The aspect of that relationship with your now ex-partner in terms of co-parenting, how that fits into the conversation we're having about dividing work up, because I know it's applicable to myself. It may well be applicable to people listening. You know, not everyone is in a marriage. You know, perfect nuclear family doesn't always exist, but how then, especially with a business as well, how do you track a co-parenting situation with a business? And I don't know, because I've been looking through and researching at the moment about different sort of percentages of like co-parenting, like timetables. Have you been able to, you know, set up something relatively easily with your co-parent? How does that work?
So my daughter lives with me 7 days on, 7 days off, basically, which is great.
That's a nice way of doing it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
We spoke about different ways of doing like 3-4-4-3 or whatever, you know, whatever it might be.
It's too much, right?
A lot of we felt like it'd be too much change, like to have to pack a bag every 3 or 4 days.
That sounded like too much to me. Saying
do you know what I mean? So
and
it gives us really good quality time with her, like, and a settled place to be for a week at a time. We still maintain that she spends the day with me on a Friday, spends the day with her mum on a Thursday, regardless of which week it is for where she's staying.
I like that.
It works brilliantly, and I'm it's fortunate that my ex-wife and I still get on. We're still friends, I would say, you know, and I feel like we do a brilliant job between us of bringing her up. And so that, that is not the case for everybody. Some people are in a much trickier situation, maybe not as amicable. But the 7 days on, 7 days off thing is great. It works really well. And then you get it's also important to have that time to yourself after you've done 7 days back to back. You're probably ready for a bit of a break. It's fair to say. But it's great to have that balance and have been able to. We came to that agreement relatively easily.
I was just going to ask about that. Because sometimes it's like a negotiation. You know, I'm not going to go into too much detail about my situation, but there are negotiations going on, and you want as much time.
I think the fundamental thing is
naturally would.
Yeah,
we both obviously would rather have 100%, but that's not possible. And then the next thing is, well, it's 50% then, and that's what we managed to do. So it's great. It works really, really well, and yeah, I mean, my daughter's thriving. I think, you know, despite that, I think it's just the norm, you know, and yeah, it works really, really well, and it does give me then that balance in terms of the business, to spend the 7 days where I'm not parenting. If I need to sort of just turn the dial up a little bit on how much effort and work, how much effort, that sounds bad, doesn't it? But do you know what I mean? How much time?
Hey, it's 100%
like,
all the time.
Exactly. How much effort, it doesn't sound right.
No, it's 100, and then 110, 120%.
That's what.
But if I need some more time to really get stuck into work, then I can use that 7 days to do that, and dip into the weekend if I have to, or try to avoid that where I can. But often that's actually quite good as a self-employed person. The emails aren't coming in on the weekend, and things like that. So you can, but I'm trying not to make that the norm, because I'm become more conscious probably in the last few months of actually taking proper time off. And
I want to touch on that. I want to segue
100%.
because we've spoken before about on and off switches with parenting, with work, with creative work, I'd love to know, have you found any strategies or any sort of like hobbies, interests that you've used to like, okay, this is Mark time, I'm switching off from dad mode, this is what I like to do, I'm going to go play, do a hobby with a mate, what do you do to sort of?
So I've always played a lot of sport. So I play football every week, which is like set in stone regardless. Right. I play that every Wednesday. But then I also I wouldn't say it's time out of dad mode. It's more time out of work mode, really, for me.
Right.
And actually being in dad mode, especially on those Fridays, is a great way of not being in work mode. That again, that's a battle to get to that point where I don't feel like I should be checking emails and on WhatsApp during the day, trying to want to be present.
How do you get to? Because I'm employed full time, and when I have that free time, I am checking emails, I am checking Teams.
But you can't do
WhatsApp
that, Max.
and everything.
You can't.
I've got a demanding job, mate. But I think it's for me. It's like, is it something you learn how to switch off? I mean, in your case, Mark, because it is your own business as well. I suppose it's all. I mean, the business almost is like a child in itself to you. So how do you sort of like switch off? Where's the off switch?
Yeah, it's difficult to find. Yeah, and I've probably only just found it and still working on it. I don't think I'll ever have it fully nailed. Otherwise, I could sell a course, couldn't I? But
it's
not a plug.
Another exclusive.
That's not a plug. But I think what it is, I think it's just working on yourself. So I've always been quite keen on using therapy and stuff when needed to kind of help work through things. Yeah. And I continue to do that when needed as well. And just understanding yourself, but also understanding the implications of not being present, whether you're at work or at home, and potentially burning out and things like that. So I play sport when I can, but also I started playing guitar again. Sort of when was that? January 2024.
Amazing.
So that, and I do those lessons during the workday, right?
Right.
So I go to the same guitar teacher that taught me when I was 15. I gave up for years. So I'd get a weekend job when I was a teenager, so I had to give up my guitar lessons and didn't play properly again for 20 years. Right, well, literally 20 years. I'm 36 now, yeah. So it'd been 20 years, and then I go to the same guy that taught me when I was 15.
Whereabouts is that? Is that Access? I know we've got Access.
No, it's based in. It's at his house in Lincoln. We go to.
It's gone full circle.
Yeah, so I sit in the same seat in the same room that I sat in 20 years ago. And I do that during the workday, right? So I book an hour out to just.
So you got like a flexi working approach.
Yeah. And again, benefit of being self-employed, I suppose. Not everyone has that.
Can
luxury.
I ask, when you picked the guitar up again, what was the first thing that you wanted to play?
Good
question. That's a great question. I think
we'll be able to tell a lot from your answer.
I think it was the first time I learned was "Are You in Love with the Notion" by Cortinas.
Like it.
Yeah, and I play a lot of Cortinas. I play some Oasis. I play the 1975 are my favourite bands. I play
Keep
them.
going. This is yes.
Did you go and see them? Did I see a post where you?
I've been to see them loads of times. Yeah,
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay,
I'm a total nerd. The 1975. So yeah, I play that kind of music quite a lot, and then there'll obviously be the stuff that you've got to practice to actually get better at playing guitar. A lot of the stuff that a lot of the music I like is I know you guys are into music. Is like generally 4 to 6 chords maybe.
Yeah. Is it Red Hot Chili Peppers? Like
I did when I was younger.
When I
started, I had to. Yeah.
It was Red Hot Chili Peppers. All the guitar instrument books was. It was, By the Way, is that album? What was that album? That's terrible.
Was it Californication?
It's the one with Californication on, isn't it? I did learn that when I was young.
Is the album called Californication?
I don't
It
know.
might be. Oh, that's awful. Someone help us
The
out.
Pool on Fire, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the album cover.
No, that's a different one.
If you know, listeners, drop us a comment.
So yeah, so
I'm
that's a great way of just like for an hour. It just feels
zoning
like,
out.
and also because Dan, my guitar teacher, is a professional touring musician as well, right? So he's like been all over the world playing with amazing bands and stuff, and he's people that are in music and creative space generally are quite sage characters, aren't they? So it's almost like it's just a really nice. It's great to chat to, great to get perspective on things. We talk about work and life as well as music and stuff, and it's just like a really nice hour. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like turn off work for an hour and go and play guitar. It's a different part of your brain though as well. Yeah.
So I imagine that's quite healthy, just to sort of switch from strategy mode, e-commerce to like, all right, I'm going to a completely different field of my brain.
Yeah.
And just do you feel the difference then when you go back into work? Like, are you breathing a sigh of relief sometimes?
Sometimes, but I think also sometimes I'm trying. I try not to feel guilty for taking that hour out, but then sometimes you like back to the office. Right, I've got another meeting starting in 5 minutes, so back into work. But that I think it's the importance of having done that hour as opposed to then what happens around it. Yeah. Regardless of what's going on around it, it's that right. At least I've dedicated that time to it, and that's something just for me I can do during the work day. Because also the weeks where I'm parenting, I obviously can't go in the evening to go and play guitar or whatever. I can practice at home without it plugged in. It's not the same. So yeah, that's probably those two things. Just like keeping active. I'll go out for a walk at lunchtime every day, and in the evenings again when I'm not parenting. Yeah. Try and play sport whenever I can. Keep physically active, and then the music kind of for a bit of a creative outlet as well.
I've got to ask, who's your team that you support?
Newcastle United.
It's Newcastle United. Now you've not done too badly then, have you?
We're all right. Yeah.
I
15 years in the
follow
wilderness.
football.
Yeah,
let's not go down that rabbit.
No, you two go for it. You two go for it. I went to watch Lincoln play first football game ever, and they lost 2-0. And that's as much as I can bring to that conversation as I can. Yes.
We're not doing too badly. Top half of the table.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
I did win 360 quid from a bet.
Oh, no.
Actually, because I bet they would lose, which felt quite spiteful of me. I can't remember who they were. Was it Wrexham? Is that the one Ryan Reynolds?
Was it the last game of the season?
Yes. Yeah. That was good. That was a good little learner for me. Yeah.
Well done, but then not well done for zero belief in our home team.
And we don't endorse gambling either.
We don't.
Only when you win.
Yeah. You only hear about the wins. Literally, we're literally just hearing about Max's one and only win. Yeah.
I've got many vices, but gambling isn't one of them yet. Just going back to that, Mark. So you block out that time for your activities. Do you? I think it's about creating that value for your own time. Time is precious, and it's how you value it. So do you, like if someone asks for a meeting, do you say no at that time? Is it that time?
I generally organise it around what I've got going on, to be fair. So, so I wouldn't necessarily...
You see, mentally, it's like, that is me time, that's important, and that's what that sort
of...
So
my Fridays off are rigid, right?
Unless
I absolutely have to, because it's like, and... You debate what is important enough to cancel that day, but sometimes you've got to keep the lights on and do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that I've got family close by and stuff that can help me out if that on the rare occasion that does happen. But the guitar stuff and that's I would organise that around my work diary. It's not like a fixed time every week, but it's like I want to get this in. So I finished the lesson and I was like, right, what have I got on next week? Where can we fit it in? I don't always achieve going every week, but I try to. But some things come up and you can be busy or away, whatever it might be. But yeah, it's more about committing to do it, and by finishing the lesson and then being like, right, let's get the diary out for next week and fit it in. then that's making sure that you do it. And then whether you get to play at all in the in the next 7 days or not before the next one, it's up for debate. But at least I've done the hour, and for me, that's whether I've practiced or not in that entire week, because I've been so busy with work or with looking after Auden and doing fun stuff with her. That doesn't matter necessarily that I haven't picked up the guitar in a week sometimes, because I've committed to that hour, and so that's for me.
So as a dad and your daughter, what is fun stuff then? What are we defining as fun?
Oh well, just to be honest,
it's
always fun. It's always fun.
It is. They come out with so much
amazing
stuff. And
we live in uphill Lincoln, so we're lucky to live in that part of town where it's walking distance to the castle and the cathedral and stuff. She loves. We could probably go in Lincoln Castle like multiple times a week. Take her up on. I've got an annual pass, so we take her up on the wall. She loves. She can see her house from the castle walls.
I was just going to say, I didn't know you could get.
Is that expensive?
Yeah,
if you go individually, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's like £40 for the year, and we get them so much.
£40 for the year.
Yeah.
For me and you, for us three to go on the walls now would be £40.
More.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's incredible value, because we can go in whenever we want.
Yeah.
She loves it. She loves going in the Victorian prison in there. She loves the Discovery Centre in the cathedral, so that's great. She used to play football and go to ballet, but she sort of stopped enjoying ballet so much, so she doesn't do that anymore. The football session time moved, so we can't do that anymore. So she hasn't necessarily got as many booked activities as she used to have. But we'll go into the park or whatever. Again, there's up the top of Lincoln. There's some lovely parks and stuff. So, just getting out and about with her, and we go to things like the trampoline parks and the soft plays and the farm parks and stuff.
Have you done trampoline parks with her?
Yeah.
God,
it's so good.
Yeah, trampoline parks would be a no from me.
I'm
jealous.
We've had history with trampoline parks getting a bit too excited and. Missing the toilet. That's not me, by the way. that is my
oh right, I thought it was. Yeah. Sorry.
But I think one of the things
is
mate.
Your bladder's going.
I know. Yeah.
I used to always feel like I had to have something booked in, right? So like if I've got
I still feel
like a 3-day weekends, generally, like so Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And feeling like I'll have a morning and an afternoon thing planned for each of those days. Been very I think that'll be very common for everyone that's got kids. Will be like, right,
definitely
keep it busy.
Yeah.
But increasingly, Auden is really happy playing at home and role play stuff. We'll pretend to be in running a cafe, or pretend that her teddies are in nursery, and just those things. If I ask her often, if I ask her what do you want to do today, she'll I want to play at home. So we'll and I've found that difficult. I found that difficult to that's when
Do you feel? Is that because you feel like you sort of owed her an amazing weekend?
No, just not at all. Really, it's just I want her to have a lot of fun, and I find I generally this will probably be quite common for anyone with kids. You find it easier if you're out doing an activity than just
designated thing. We're doing this thing in the morning. I think there's a lot of pressure, isn't there?
100%.
Okay, we've got this amount of time. We're doing this thing and then this thing, rather than you said. That's really refreshing. Just
I mean, you can put the most amazing scheduled day together, but my son still goes on about the times that he's in his bed and he makes it into a tube train.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's like, what about Yorkshire Wildlife Park when you saw all the
Can't remember the money you spent on that particular.
I'll tell you what, it's not cheap.
But it takes effort to be if you do just stay at home to play. That it takes more effort to remain present in that situation. Particularly if you're feeling a bit down, or if you're particularly under pressure with work or something. That's when the temptation to check,
get your phone out,
check emails, because you're at home and you can do it.
Yeah.
So, but actually, I'm trying to get better at that, and just enjoy that free play, where it literally it's just her imagination.
I think it's good for adults to sort of get into that again. I think it unlocks a piece of your brain that sort of gets locked off when you're a teenager, early 20s. Yeah, it's.
Do you need to ever feel like you need to put your phone away? Does it get to the point where I know I've got a bit of an addictive personality, I can get obsessed. I get obsessed about things, and and when I'm doing something, I'm engrossed in that activity, and it can unfortunately be with phones as well. I don't find myself doom scrolling as much as perhaps I used to. You don't have
falling
time.
down rabbit holes.
But you do fall down rabbit holes, right? Watching different videos. Do you have I've seen these different apps and little tools you can get, like, I think they call, is it like a brick or something? Like you can attach it to your phone and it sort of cancels out like wireless
physical
internet.
thing.
I think it is a physical thing. Do you have any strategies, or do you have the self-discipline? I'm guessing that you might have, Mark, to just sort of, okay, phone's away or phone's in my pocket. I'm here with my
I'm
child.
probably, I don't think I'm that, I don't struggle with it too much when I'm with her. Probably, I've tried a few things to be on it less when I'm not. And living on my own now for the last year or so, like that's a challenge in itself, like to keep yourself busy and occupied and not fall into that. So I used to just do things like leave the phone in the other room, or even none of those apps where you can limit the time on them necessarily. I have to use those time limiting apps before. Just moving them off your home screen, even just moving them to the back of the that's easy things to override, and I often do. But I'm conscious of screen time. I wouldn't say, I don't feel like it's a huge problem for me necessarily. But I think it's important to be aware of not just ending up on social media all the time.
Absolutely. I'm a bugger for it. Podcasts, almost all endlessly listening to podcasts.
Well, that's all right. I think that's different.
I would say that's all right.
I tell myself that
you're bettering yourself and all that.
Yeah, but
there is research into the scrolling, and it feeds the addictive bit of your brain. So it's not even the video.
There definitely is a dopamine thing going on. There is definitely dopamine.
And that's the unhealthy bit.
I think, I
don't encourage people not to listen to podcasts on a podcast.
Well, clearly not. But I mean, there is. But where is that line? Where is that line? And I think I found myself within the past few years in difficult times where you just you are feeling low, and then I think you do tread over that line.
It's escapism, isn't it?
It is.
Like, I bet the most difficult bit of you going to Guitar Mark is going there. When you're there, brilliant. Like football, I bet it's the motivation to get off the sofa and go and do it.
Yeah. And it's that probably playing football and guitar to a lesser extent, but playing football, I've always said this, is the one time that like hour and a half that I'm playing is the one time where I'm literally not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
Right, so even when and not to make out that things were horrific last year when everything happened, but it's difficult. It's a difficult situation. Right? There's no getting around it. It's a difficult situation. That time playing football is the only time where I'm not thinking about anything else, just playing football, enjoying it. Yeah. And it's important. It's important to find those things, I think. But it's. The phone thing isn't. I don't really struggle with that. I know some people do. It's. I try and get out and go for a walk or something. I try and just not spend all your time on it.
Move and be motivated.
I feel the judgment. Thanks, Mark.
Sorry, mate.
You just looked at me. Right, move more.
You
give me that look as well, Max.
I went out on my bike the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Did a bike ride.
Loop around the garden, was it?
No, it was 15 miles.
Wow.
And going back to what you said, I hated it the whole time I was doing it. I was like, stop. This is hurting me. Like, my legs are aching. I'm not a fit man, Mark. I'm really not. But I just felt like I need to do something purely because while I was focusing on my legs are burning, I can't breathe, it's too hot, you're not thinking about anything else. And then you get home and it's like, you don't mind thinking about the meaningless stuff or work or all the things that niggle you. So I'm completely with you on that.
Yeah, I think the thing more now for me is not having things planned for now when I'm parenting. It's now the other way around where I'm like, as a single parent, when the week that you're not parenting, is making sure that you've got things on during that week to keep you busy. So football's part of that, guitar's part of that, but then just making sure you're going out with your mates or, even just going for a walk, just having something to do, just to keep yourself busy, really. And that's probably one of the things that I'm trying to work on at the moment, is feeling like it's okay not to be busy all the time, because whether that's work or or just your social life, but that's probably one of the things I'm working on at the moment, is to feel okay about just being at home.
It's difficult to relax. It really is.
There's so many distractions. I mean, like we spoke about the phone, but there's just...
But not
so
even
much.
that, just feeling that there is a sort of guilt, I think. You're laid on the sofa, you put the TV on, and within 5 minutes I'm like, I could be doing so many other things that are productive. So it's getting over that sort of guilt, I suppose, in a way, really. But yeah, I struggle with that as well.
Yeah.
Struggle with it a lot.
I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here.
For a change.
Thanks, Max. Again,
You cop the, like, you know, there's definitely like you get the stick on this, don't you? Definitely, like.
Not usually.
I'm glad that you're spotting this, Mark.
Not usually.
Maybe not. No,
I think it's because it's been hot today.
No,
it is hot.
Irritable.
It is hot. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, irritable.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm coming across as irritable?
No,
No, I
Definitely.
think I'm irritable.
Oh, right, okay.
It's all love here, though.
It is.
Really.
It is. I wanted to. We spoke before, Mark. We went to this networking event with pizzas. It was brill. We had a beer, and you mentioned that your brother. I really want to plug what your brother's doing.
Oh yeah,
and,
this is
and,
really
and,
cool.
And we're hoping to get him on the
Yes.
show as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you give us a brief
I'll
logo
do my
of what
best.
your brother's doing?
So my brother Paul is the co-founder of Fathercraft UK, which is two sides to it, in my view. I guess so advocacy for new and expectant dads and just dads in general, but also a digital platform to support and educate new and expectant dads as well. Providing resources, advice. I think there's the plans for there to be courses that you can do. So him and his best friend bought the franchise for that from the US. It runs as it's a successful business over in the US. They've got the rights to operate it in the UK and Europe. They're doing a great job. More focusing on the advocacy side at the moment. I think the digital platform is being developed. It's all about kind of just creating, I guess, trying to create community, but also advocacy for dads, I think, really, and just making people feel like there's access to information that's specific to dads.
100%, and that community as well.
Well, we touched on it with Dan just last week on the last episode about the need for the community, and he's setting up such a great community with Dad La Soul around the southeast, in the south, down there, and how much it's needed. I'm just checking your geographical. I've got 0. It's
Brighton
definitely needed.
area.
It is Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's needed nationwide. And I love what your brother's doing, and it's so timely at the moment. Obviously, I was watching the TV this morning, and obviously we heard about the dad strike that's going on.
That was such a good segue into that. I know that completely ruins it by highlighting it's a segue, but that was brilliant.
Thanks, Max.
You're welcome.
We spoke about it a bit before, didn't we? And I can't say that I know all that much about it, but the summary of what it's talking about in terms of paternity leave, I think, is quite interesting, and I'm sure your brother would have something to say.
Yeah,
about
I think they'll be getting involved in supporting that kind of thing.
It's advocacy.
They had is it Dan from Dad La Soul? Is it Dan?
Yeah.
He's been on their podcast as well, and I think it's great what he's doing. I think that it'd be great if that existed all over the UK.
100%.
His experience of being the only dad at a lot of these activities and stuff that he goes to is one that really resonates with me. Like I'm familiar with that. I'm very fortunate to have a few dad friends, I would say, where we meet up with the kids and stuff. So that's really great. Most weekends I'll have something booked in with like a friend who also has a child similar age to Auden. Which is awesome. But it'd be great if there was more of them.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think it's not necessarily typical. My situation of having 50% custody, I don't think is necessarily typical. So often it's quite hard to sometimes for people still in relationships to have that availability just come out. Generally we're available, right? You know what I mean? But sometimes it's harder to get people together. So if those sort of communities existed all over the UK, that'd be amazing. It's certainly something that I think would be beneficial for people.
Absolutely, I'm definitely for it. If it doesn't happen, well, we're just gonna have to set something up ourselves, man.
I think so. I think this is sort of the platform to do it at the moment. Who knows what Dads at Work might be moving forward? Hopefully something similar to Dad La Soul, of creating that. I think it's natural, isn't it, to feel more alone as a father, I think. There's lots of societal reasons why that I can't think of now. But I think your world does shrink. Your social circle shrinks. Suddenly there is less time for you.
If you're not careful about nurturing those relationships with friends that are going through or having children like you did, like you're blessed with, Mark, clearly with friends that are going through that. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not necessarily the type of parent or the dad who can, just go up and speak to other dads outside the school gates or outside, the nursery or anything. It can be difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, I'm quite a sociable person naturally anyway, so I would have, like, that example is like, sometimes it's, one of Auden's friends from nursery that we'll meet with, or somebody that, one of my really good friends is somebody that we met through the NCT classes that we did before before the girls were even born, so... and we've just maintained that friendship. So, but yeah, I'm fortunate that that's the case for me. But it's it'd be brilliant if there was those sort of communities that people tap into. I think, but
we should make it happen.
The more we talk about it, the more we're
you can talk yourself into it, aren't
you?
We're
going to have to guilt trip ourselves into it.
I think so. Just having a space for dads to go along to and vent. I mean, one of the most beautiful things that Dan from Dad La Soul said, I think it was one of the dad's sons enjoyed dressing as I can't remember whether it was a princess or something, like putting wings on or whatever.
They had a themed event, didn't they? Around that, which I thought was
and the dad was sort of feeling that, my son, why is my son wanting to do this? Next week he went in and everyone was dressed as a princess.
Yeah.
So just having those supportive environments and communities, I think it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I think there's a case of just like letting yourself go.
Yeah.
Like that. I was having Auden and I and family went to Greece a couple of weeks ago, and Auden was painting my nails across the aisle on the plane, right?
What colour?
Multiple colours. It was all like
nice.
that. Yeah. And there's people, we're sat at the back on the back row of the plane, so there's traffic coming through there all the time, right? And like I'm literally sat there with my hand across the aisle, get my nails. You just got to go with it, I think. It's great. But yeah, it's just rolling with those.
But anyone else on that flight that was a dad would completely get it.
Of course. Yeah.
And credit to you for having your nails painted. Yeah. I'm sure it meant a lot to
very
her.
fetching.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Was this on the way to the holiday or on the way back?
It was on the way home this time.
Right. Yeah. So you didn't have the new look for the whole holiday.
No, alas. Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Probably for the best. Amazing. I'm conscious of the time, Mark. It's been so great having you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been real fun. I think our listeners are going to get a lot from that.
I think so. One word that I would use to describe you, Mark, is refreshing.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think there's a lot of people out there who claim to be thought leaders, who claim to be experts on things, and I don't get any ego with you. You've been really, really open. And it's amazing to hear how you went out and did it on your own, mate, to be honest. As an ambition of mine, it's nice to have a candid chat with someone who's actually done it.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. That's really kind. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's definitely courage as a father to get the nails painted on the plane, and then there's entrepreneurial courage as well. We can see that, Mark. So yeah, it's been really great to have you.
Cheers, guys. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.